Alright, welcome back everybody. This is episode 3 of Super Mario Fixer, featuring levels made by a fellow design-oriented Discord member named Zera. Now we've been playing his levels for the past 2 episodes. He had about 34 levels total, and I just kind of went through and played them and talked about different things that I noticed while playing, but now I actually want to jump into the level editor and poke around a little bit more thoroughly. So this is not his level. I actually need to go into the main menu. There we go. Oh, and I actually made a checklist of things I need to remember this time instead of just doing the same thing I always do. Alright, yeah, I haven't really been introducing myself. So my name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid. My Twitter's Kirby Kid. I started a critical gaming blog a long time ago. Wrote a bunch of articles, did a bunch of websites, made a few video games. Working on an independent project right now, and I also currently work for Gunfire Games. So every opinion that I express in this stream does not reflect Gunfire Games at all. It's just me and doing the same things that I've been doing for many, many years, which is talking about games, breaking them down, and trying to get the conversation started. So that's a little bit of my name, my history. The design-oriented channel is kind of our latest project, something we got started a few years ago, and it really just is the next step of keeping a lot of this stuff going. So I want to hit play. I want to go to Course World. Yeah, so we have a Discord. We talk about design topics all the time. Something new every day, whatever we're playing, whatever we're seeing online, we go ahead and talk about it in a nice, interesting, and structured way. We actually remember the things we say and hold each other accountable to some degree, so it's not a place where you can just run in and dump your opinions and then get out clean. Following. And back to Zera's list. So like I said before, this is a lot of levels right here. And there was a kind of a range of quality, right? Some were big, expensive levels. Some were really short, almost single screen, kind of like this Waluigi Dance Party. Some were a little bit intense. Some actually tried some interesting new level design things. So that's kind of what I want to showcase in this episode. Just poking around at some of his most unique ideas and talking about what it takes to sort of flesh them out or polish them up or get them a little bit more to Nintendo standards. But I don't even know why this is loading so slow. What is up with this? Slow. But I got my gamepad right here, and I will be switching back and forth into something that's a little bit more conducive for showcasing different edits. So we're going to go ahead and download this one. Move all the way down. Right here. So there we go, that's fine. Nope. So that one was a level featuring a lot of bomb-bombs. So we're going to take a look at that one. Fire Flower or Star Power was kind of interesting. Let's see, Watch Your Head. Luigi's Ghost Run was just an auto runner level where you jump over different obstacles. Big Boo Bash had a ton of boos. Single screen, kind of a little gimmicky there, kind of fun. Unstable Ground. That's an interesting concept. We'll download this one. So one thing I said before was after you play a few levels from anybody, you kind of get to start to notice what their design fingerprint is and the kind of elements they gravitate towards, or the kind of stylistic choices that they can't help but making. And one of Zera's design fingerprint elements is essentially replacing any normal platform like a ground or a brick or something that doesn't move and is very stable with dynamic shifting and unstable platforms. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Bounce wisely. That one was a little intense. Rush like the wind. Gone fishing. Gone fishing was more interesting. Donuts. Because that one had a lot of fish in it. Castle of Disappointment. Spike Top Tower. Oh, that one had. This one was neat. Download. Looks like Nintendo's skimping out on the server costs. This is really slow. Nope. And there was another level that Zera made that really showcased a lot of non-linear layered level design I kind of want to poke around with. It's not that one. Systematic Demolition. It's not that one. Mr. Invincible's Day Off. This one is interesting. Download. Perhaps I should have done this after starting, or before starting the stream, but I can always restart. It doesn't really matter. And if I did not cut this part out, you can just fast forward, because that's what you can do. Tall jumps, bombastic barrage, the longest journey. Did not like that one. Hurricane Heights, cramped dungeon. No wonder I was like, why is this level so cramped? And it's called Cramped Dungeon, so kudos. Dig Deep was a little weird. The further you go up, I think I like them less and less. Upside Doozy did not like. Goomba Jumps, Ride the Sky, Hammer Garrison, Coldstone Castle. Okay, cool. So the last interesting one I want to do is right, Bombastic Barrage. Some of Zera's other fingerprint style elements is flooding the screen with enemies. As he said, he's inspired by the Incredible Bangayo series, in which enemies typically flood the screen on some of their medium to hard levels, so that's fun. Definitely it's interesting to take your inspiration from other games, other sources, and other things. The hard part obviously is finding a way to translate it into whatever current game or genre you're working with. Did I already do Gone Fishing? Because I'm doing it. And right here, and we'll start with Gone Fishing. So let's see if I can actually pull this off. Make the screen big. So I'm editing stuff up here. Go ahead and play the level real quick. Get my headphones. Hopefully that Cheep doesn't kill me. Rushing. Nice try, Cheep. Okay, so like level, it's got some standard looking stuff going on down here. Died. Quick restarts. Oh, so what I liked about this level was the vine work, right? So putting vines next to elements is something that the other Mario games haven't really explored. I think there's a couple of new Super Mario Brothers games where you are, you know, going in canyons or something, and they put a bunch of vertical ropes or in horizontal ropes, so you can like jump around and get through the canyon. But other than that, and a few other examples, maybe I don't remember there being a lot of levels. This is so bros through right here. That play around with a lot of these free climbing elements, just kind of like this. Just because normally Nintendo, they like the Mario games like to attach them to blocks and attach them to places where you want to go up, and not just have it free flowing like this. But one of the best levels in Bros 3, I think it's 3-5 or 3-4, in which you are escaping the high rising water, and you have to temporarily climb up on things so you don't get eaten, and then you go back down when the tide drops. That level had a couple of situations where you climb up briefly to escape danger and then you go back down, so that's another cool example. But this layout is pretty normal looking, which is what I like. Sometimes there's not really a good reason to have these hills undulate like this. Again, Mario builds itself and its platforming gameplay around flat ground, and then you do stuff in the air. And you don't necessarily need to jack up the ground too much in order to make the interesting stuff happen. You know, secrets everywhere. I remember that pipe in Bros 3 towards the end of level, what was it? 1-1 or 1-2? There's a very similar pipe structure like this where one's coming down from the sky. And that's pretty much the whole level. Let's go back into edit mode and see if we missed anything. Alright, nothing else seems to be in the sky. Except for this. What the? Can I even go in that pipe? Is it even possible to get up there? Maybe I need a cheap? Or just Koopa. That's really hard to get into. Come on. Nah, it looks like it can't go up in that pipe. See, this is funny too, this weird little situation here where you're climbing on the vine and hitting a block. So now we can kind of take a better look at the progression. I don't really have a handy-dandy way of... what is it? Taking a broad view of the level, but I can do this. Let's see. Stop. So I can essentially grab screen caps. This. Come over here. And do my fancy camera switch. Yay! Oh, that screenshots. Do I have to shrink every... Oh, I probably should just shrink this one if I want to make it a little easier on myself. Or not. This. And then we can just screen cap this. I wish this were all automatic. This is the best we can do. There we go. And then we can always zoom in on this if needed. So the first area is pretty basic. I don't really get a strong sense of progression like this. This Koopa here, these Koopas up here. I like how it reveals the vines, but there's really nothing you can do much with this. Like, they're kind of too many in a row. The whole less is more thing that Nintendo talks about all the time. And like, how can you get this interesting idea to happen with not, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vines in a row? This is more like it, like spaced elements, things existing in their own space, like an individual obstacle here, an individual formation here. This little question block is a little weird, it's kind of out of place, and even kicking a shell into it is not that interesting. A weird formation here, I guess it's hinting at that. But if you look at a lot of Bros 3 setups, you know, they never just have, they hardly have a single brick on the ground. They have some kind of formation that has an interesting idea in and of itself. I'm not sure what's up with this. I want to see if I can break it open. See what happens. Yeah, you can see in the editor if there's anything in there. I don't need to waste my time. So this formation, this progression of tall and taller elements reminds me of Mario Bros. 1-1 with the, like, what was it, a 3-brick pipe, 3-brick pipe, 4-brick tall pipe. But you can't see the progression as much in this because of these green background things. I mentioned before, you don't want to put the same color elements on top of each other. Even though you don't have too much control of how the background looks, you can still try to avoid that problem, so let's do that. I don't even know how to play this game anymore. Multi-grab. How about all this? Just a little bit over. And then this would be a decent reason to raise this area because we don't want it to conflict. Oops. undo. Where's my undog? There we go. Right here. And then we can, what, copy paste this junk. And if there's really no reason to have a pit here, maybe I could just return your pit to you like that. Oops. Stop. So now this section plays differently. New stuff here. Mushroom gets trapped there. You can climb up high to see the height difference instead of just going like, well, the vine goes up tall, so I don't get to see very much. This kind of scouting thing is kind of interesting. And you can go for it up here. You can try to do one of those maneuvers where you get on top. Is that even possible? Should be possible. There we go. That's interesting. And then notice how when you're on top, like I said before, the vines are your safety net. So you're up here, you can't see anything. You just aim for a vine and then aim for this vine, and you got a really nice sort of climbing up, falling down situation. So in order to bring that out a little bit more, that would be a good reason to raise this formation up a little higher, so that even if the player falls down lower in this area, we'll do, how much are we raising this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll shrink this 1, 2, 3. And then we'll grab this, paste. The music's fun. And we'll grab these coins. No. So, thinking about coins even in this area, we're like, well, what's the player going to be doing? There's these fish that make things kind of interesting and kill me when I'm not paying attention. You come over here. Power-ups or just whatever. And you can fall down and get the coins. And getting the coins here is interesting because it's kind of like Greed City. And getting up and out of this pit is a lot more interesting. So instead of having this up here, which is at one of the highest vines, and it's kind of a freebie and we don't need 1-ups anyway, let's do something a little bit more interesting. We'll take this. We'll take that out. No. Put a coin in there. We'll kill you. And then we'll give you a reason to come down here and be greedy. So, you know. Coins, we don't need these anymore. But we do need to set this motif up of there are coins attached to the vines, and maybe people will get a clue. So maybe we'll just move these like this. So now it looks like the coins are actually like fruit on the vines, and you can keep that motif going. If you want to make it a little more organic, you just do stuff like this, where they're offset from each other. And that should give the player a little bit more incentive to come around in these areas and be like, oh look, like coins. And then you're like, well, that one must be a coin, except for I got hit. And you die for your greed. So we can actually make this one a little taller. And let's take a snapshot of this area. So we have this area right here that is right past the beginning. Where's my tool? So and then we'll paste that into here, somewhere along here. This next gameplay idea is just some weird like break a brick section. I'll comment on that shortly. And then this next gameplay idea is vine time with fruits for your labor. We'll just do this section right here. So if you look at these ideas in the editor, like, I don't know how these flow very well. The first area seems to be all about you. This nice red color introduces the, oops, there. And I'll do this on a new layer. How about that? This is going to be called comments. So this layer introduces your theme here, like that. We got your vines and your vines. This formation is just a little like throwaway. If you want to really accentuate what verticality you're going to start establishing this level, you don't need to give them this free platform here that kind of undermines the height of this first vine. So you're going to change that. You get to this next area just after that. I like how the vines are sort of hidden inside of this man-made formation, but if you wanted to do the whole like motif of man versus nature, which is I've done something in my Mario mod levels, then you probably should run with this whole bricks and vines thing a lot more throughout the level. Otherwise, right here it's just like this one-off garden that you have tons of enemies. Like this guy, it's cool because he helps reveal this, but then you got these guys, one's green, one's red. You know the difference between green and red Koopas, right? Reds don't fall off platforms and greens do. So this is a weird formation that kind of forces the bump. And I'm like, why? Like, let's look what happens. Oops, about to die. So then the green falls off. And the green is actually supposed to flip to Mario's direction whenever it falls off a platform like that. So let's see if I can do that. Hi, why are you killing me? Oh, well, the red just flipped. Okay, so the red fish flip after they jump. What they flip when they jump? I did not know that. That might be a Bros 3 thing because Bros 1 did not have that complex movement. So okay, so this formation, you have fish going throughout this whole thing. This level's called Gone Fishing. You don't need this many Koopa turtles to do that. You probably should just focus on the fish and maybe a Lakitu late game, and not just kind of put in so many differing enemies that are only used for like the one level interaction instead of the enemies being the primary theme. Like this Buzzy Beetle, we're gonna have to kill this thing. We're gonna have to kill this as well because this pretty much seems to only set up for this, and this is throwaway because this is throwaway. And if you wanted to give a situation where you have some high fish or fish dropping in from above, this is a nice way to introduce it, like one simple fish at a time. And a single turtle here is interesting, but let's make it red instead of green. I'll do that now. So this, now you red. This we kill because I just don't. And also, like, you had, so if you were gonna establish the whole like man-made thing versus organic vine, this vertical block here would be pretty cool. But right now it's just like, no. And after taking it out, you're like, well, I have all this space and there's kind of nothing happening here. I should tell you something. But we're gonna use it as a bit of a what is it? A respite. And we are going to start establishing our islands right here. So that gives you less room to sort of run up to this area and position yourself as you want. That makes this fish a little bit more dangerous. This Koopa a little bit, it's static now instead of falling off, so that's a little bit better. And now the few fish that are in that area are going to be a little bit easier to respect. You can be red, and we can in general not put these coins here. I guess, ooh, not that. I guess you would want to shorten these two to kind of keep the mystery. Then, so the way I figured, like, if you're gonna have this really cool reveal of the vines inside of the blocks, then why even hint at it? so let's assume like this. Select these. Let's assume you don't. Oops. Got a bunch of junk in that one. Like, let's assume you don't hint. What are you doing? Oh, and I don't think you put any plants inside of blocks. I didn't even know you could do that until just now. So this is more like what you'll see in the early levels of Bros 3, like these weird brick formations that encourage you to kick a Koopa into it. So if you want to set this up, then this is what you need. One Koopa by. You just don't want to overdo it. You get this back here, and then you set up your little castle, right? Like, oh. And you take this one away. Actually, we don't need this this one or this one. And because of the widescreen nature of this game, this formation isn't bad, but if you play any Bros 3, you just have less screen real estate to deal with. You just can't make things that are this big. It's just how it works. I need to be careful when I delete stuff. So now you gotta stub your castle. I like it better. Probably delete that and stop making noise and delete. So now you gotta stub your castle that's easier to read, right? It's still got this hidden block right here, which we're probably gonna remove because it's kind of getting in the way of what this little block formation is gonna do. And then just like the original Mario Brothers, we're gonna, like, you know, cut a little interesting hole right here and there. And here's where you add your frickin'... Where is it? Here's where you add your frickin' vine. Inside there. Why not? Oops. First we're gonna make it tall. So this might be, if you let the player explores this much, this is what the reward's gonna be. Tallness, as if the man-madeness of the structure was really holding nature back. And this is where overlapping green on green would actually serve a positive purpose, because this plant in the background kind of looks like this vine, and you may not notice it peeking through. So we might even keep it even more subtle like this. And you might skip this whole formation if you're a, you know, a not fun player. But if you're a cool person, come in like this. Well, we gotta kill that. Sorry. You don't need to exist anymore. And while we're at that, I don't know why this low-hanging pipe is here, but I wanted this jump to be a little bit bigger, and I want this jump to be a little bit bigger. That's fine. I think I'm going to move this pipe, because it's not as symmetrical as it used to be. That looks much better. So like, oh! And then it's because, you know, you're unlikely to jump all the way up there because of this gap here and these fish here. You get a little chance to look at what's going on before you're like, I'm obviously going to do this. And I did not do that correctly. Interesting. How do we make it? Oh, we put a coin inside. Classic. Classic. It's just a temporary solution. You don't have to make all these coins. And just for fun, you know, like, put a few unexpected coins in there. Let's see what happens. I forgot they're all going to be multi-coin. That's fun. Oops. I'm not paying attention. And delete this one. Delete this one. Oops. Play. Nature, nature, nature. Oh, shouldn't have put that one there, shouldn't I have? Okay. I don't know. You don't need to exist. You don't need to exist. Nature, nature, nature. Just like Bros 3, it's fine copying things almost straight out of Bros 3. And check that out. Worth exploring. That's all you get. And it's cool, it's not that dangerous going down here. You could actually do a neat level where you know, doing stuff like this. Keep that in mind for later. Random idea. So jump up. So how do we fix these things now? So that changed that entire area to something that's just a little bit more straightforward. You can put any kind of reward you want on the top of this vine. Here is probably where we're going to reintroduce your 1-up, but we're going to not give it as a freebie. They're going to have to jump. Well, actually, we have to give it as a freebie, don't we? Here, stop that. And what is this? Is this what I want? No. And that's that idea. Okay. So let's leave all this space blank up here. Not abusing stuff that happens up high on the Mario levels is a good level of restraint. We don't need to shove things off the screen all the time, even though it's fun every now and then. We'll play this area. This is just a lone island, but this is tricky because of the fish that track with you. So the green keep going, and they're on their own sinusoidal, like Medusa head-like wave, but the reds follow you, like that. So the more you hang out in areas like this, trying to do cool stuff, like that, it's going to make it even trickier. So let's pay a little bit more close attention to where our red fish spawn. There's one right here, right in the middle of this area. And we're going to put one in every major game idea that we want the player to slow down. So let's change this fish here. Oh, there's a red one already right here. That's cool. In fact, I don't think we need to touch that right now. So like even though you're being conservative, we're being conservative with the fish. Like I don't think you just need fish coming out of a pipe like this. But if you let them stack up, you know, I love doing that. I love traveling. Oh, what? They have a random jump height? Okay. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Okay. Okay, not paying attention. So now this red's gonna... No! So it's cool trying to keep a lot of fish on screen. That's just something to keep in mind, that what we discover through the emergent play is probably going to set up for some more well-designed, cleaner, interesting things than sort of forcing it. No! And so they give you... This is the first mushroom of the... Okay, wow. Of the level. It's a nice... I would rather put it... Oh wow, these guys are figure 8 jerks. That's pretty cool. I never... See, this is kind of like the level you were making with the chain chomps, but so much more interesting, because the fish are more predictable. They can be jumped on, and then they persist. So they can follow you across the screen. I think that's more interesting. Figure out what to do with that. With this, what is it right here? This mushroom here. We'll figure out what to do with it in a bit. That's a terrible question mark. Okay, so now this is where we establish verticality. So we had more vert here. We added that. I'm going to change colors for purple, no, pink for things I add. More verticality here. We shrunk this whole area. It's a little bit more conservative. We added some gaps right here. Did we even address the first area? Okay, yeah, with this area, we're gonna just make this a little bit more conservative. And move this one here. I just think we only need 3 bricks. I don't even know what's in this one. Wow, power up? What's in this one? Nothing? Just coin? Let's not do that. Let's kill you. Just have power up. Put it in the middle, why not? Oh, okay, what? Did I just... And again, keeping our rules the same. Let's move this from out from there. Move that over. And now more so than before, it looks like a normalish Mario level in which these vines are intruding because of the asymmetry between these 3 blocks and this left vine here. So now you're thinking like, oh, this would be a normal Mario level except for something's up. We could even, well, we're building such nice verticality over time. I don't want to tip the hand too early with this structure. So we'll just leave it for now. Yeah, we'll leave it. Don't need to outline a mandatory jump like this with coins. Just not necessary. You got your power up here. You know, you got your coin block here, right? So like, you don't need more coins. Just let the player kind of explore. And this coin block here tells the player like, oh, if you play around the vines, you're gonna get cool stuff to happen. Nothing happens with this vine, but it's fine because this is where the enemies, you can focus more on the cheeps and their interesting behavior. Coins up here are interesting because it's harder to get up to this area from this unless you use, so like check this out, but then you get cheap and you get up here. That's super cool. Otherwise you have to go through this thing, and the longer you wait, the more that these freaking fish start to piss you off. Didn't get that one. So that's a nice, just perfect example of when you go more conservative, you let the layers interact more cleanly instead of making very strict paths that you hope the player will do and they probably won't. So now you got a little freedom. You know, this is the thing we talked about. Just the feeling of being high is neat. So I don't think you need freaking secret coins up here or whatever. The greed down here. Yeah, exactly. I just got greeted. And then you can get out, you know. You may consider taking this jump out where the player can get up with just a standing jump. Let's see what happens. And we need more screenshots. I need to stretch my canvas. I did not make it good enough. So we're going to take everything that we did so far and shrink it. Oh, that's not a good idea. Too bad. Edit. Canvas size. Right here. We're going to sync everything up to the top left. We're going to do a width of 150. That's fine. And a height of 750 as top 0. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So now we're going to take the background, do this, move it over here. Oh no, the comments. That's fine. Take the comments, grab them too, and move them over here. That's what it looked like. Yep. This is me ignoring the stream chat. Vines grow infinitely from blocks. Use another block to stop it. Or, you know, run down a hole immediately when I look down. Yeah, you can stop that vine if you want. When you get a really good idea of what purpose it serves with the rest of the level, that'd be a good time to address, you know, how high you want it to go, or if you want it to even be there at all. We're going to take a screenshot of the next area, which is this area. Nice and sectioned off. Go back to the background, click this, click that. I remember stitching the levels together for the other videos. It took so long just to line up those stupid pixels. I'm not doing anything that refined anymore. That's fine. So let's jump back in here so you can see a little bit more. So this area has the checkpoint flag, and this is where you introduce Frick. We're going to call him Frick Face. Lakey 2, or Lucky 2. He's throwing fish. I wonder if he throws any reds. Probably not, since you probably have to drag something onto him. And we know that the reds are like the the real scary ones. So it's probably better to have the reds come from the level spawn and then that guy just being a jerk. I don't think you need him to be this early in the spawn. You want him to be just after this checkpoint, because that's just how it works. The checkpoint is a moment of reprieve, and you don't want this guy sliding in like he's in your DMs. And also for this like checkpoint area, you just did this cool like greed thingy. You need this to be sort of a freebie. And you don't want to overdo the vine. So we're just going to kill this one. There's no reason for that one to be there. It's just a small flat area where... And like we're going to take away junk like this. What is it right here? No. Oops. Mario. Because we don't need to just put random bumps into places. It just serves no purpose. In fact, this one is a 3-gap hole, this one's a 2-gap hole, and a 3-gap hole. So we're going to continue with the difficulty of that by making this a 4-gap hole or a 5. So that a lot of this looks like just islands popping up on their own. But if you want to re-establish the fact that this is sort of like the ground level, because it looks like you don't do too many holes from here on out, then you might want a bigger piece of land, so let's just do that. Stop making noise. Nothing wrong with this, but this needs to change. If you... Oop. This needs to change. We like to be as symmetrical as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This needs to change. And you have this on the lower level. I don't think they make any checkpoints that are like you jump for them, so it's just supposed to be a freebie, so make it a freebie. These are just coin blocks. This formation, let's say if all of our vines are vertical, then we want all of our blocks to be like these fat rectangular formations like we have here, and like we didn't really establish it there, but those are singles. So let's keep that going and make all of our block formations, instead of pointy, we're going to make it like this. Classic. Let's just steal the classic Bros 1 setup, because it's so good. There we go. I believe the Bros 1 one was a little bit more spaced. Is that correct? Was it really like this? And that's a 3 on the left and a 4 on the right. Which is fine. This guy probably doesn't need to be here. We have Lake Yukutu coming in. This is supposed to be a reprieve. We still have fish that might be following you. I just feel like these jerks don't need to be here. Like, what are they gonna do? I'm gonna delete them. Let's take a look back at what this graph was showing us. Hey, you need to shut up. Go back to our red color. Oh, I need to do my red color with a right click. Yeah. So like you, oops. Comments. This. You suck. You suck. We got rid of this. We changed this formation here. And we changed it to 4 dots. Let's put 4 pink things here. And we got rid of this. We widened the gap here and here. So see how it conveys a lot of what... It conveys one thing for one. And it takes a lot of what you had established here and just says, hey, you don't need to say 2 things that conflict. Just say the one thing that kind of looked like you were going for in the first place, which is basically a checkpoint freebie area with some coins if you want to go for them. Yeah. Next area, Lake Yukutu comes in. Let's see what happens. Let's take a snappy snap of this. Take a few snappy snaps. This is fly bothering me. Why? Oopsie, wrong section. There we go. Took too big of a screenshot. There we go. And then we'll take the next section over, which is kind of confused area as well. That's fine. So as we're playtesting this, you have to think like, what is the most interesting thing that's happening? We took a note of like secret vines. We took a note of like fish following you, and you can do a neat thing where you put one Starman at the end of the level, maybe that you get to a very high vine to get to, and then you kill a bunch of fish to get a 1-up. Like, it's neat. Sounds good to me. Setting that up where it's these random formations. Like, what is this? I don't know what this is. So it's like you're constructing a sentence, and the ideas conveyed in your gameplay are a very clear progression. Like you're saying something, and this last part, denouement, is a fly. This last part is a following action, so you don't need it to be anything crazy. Empty space is also perfectly acceptable, so we're just gonna shove that here. So this is your whole level right now, broken up into chunks. And if you look at how many different distinct screen sections there are, did I duplicate this one? Or, oh, really? You have two back-to-back that are almost the same. A row of coins right here. Let me see, where's my color? First of all, stop getting clicked. Go to comment. So you have a row of coins here. Wow. I need better tools. And then you have like a row of blocks here. You have a question block here, and you have a question block here. Green enemy here, green enemy here, vertical vine here, vertical vine here. Slightly raised stage, you know, pipe, gap, gap. It's so similar, especially when you have them back to back, and it's so busy too. Like you just reintroduce this block for whatever reason, pipes, fish. The hardest part about this section is the fact that there's suspension using the Lakey 2 and maybe a few fish. So I don't know if you necessarily need to have all these fish spewing out of pipes. Like I think that whole challenge and idea was introduced early on and it's already over. So unless we're escalating, those definitely don't need to be here. We got our highest section here in cell 4. Cell 5 goes low again. I think the fact that you have pipes coming out of the ceiling and you have these tall vines, we can substitute this ideas for, oops, wrong color. We need to put some like tall vines here. And I'm not sure how high the fish bounce, but the whole fact that you could sort of like kill the land here, kill, alright, that's the kill symbol. And then put some tall vines, just kind of either shooting out of the abyss or the land. We can forego a lot of these just redundant structures. Let's see, right after we get our checkpoint here. What is this panel here say to us, like right here? What is this? Okay, so this is fine because it's introduction to the Lakey 2. But there's so much junk here. If you ever replay the original Mario Brothers, the level with the Lakey 2 is almost entirely flat. There are a few levels in that game that are almost entirely flat, like 7-2, 7-3 maybe. The Lakey 2 level and the bridge level with the cheap cheats were first introduced. That's because there's so many interesting things are going to be happening because of the fish from below. That's not the right color. Fish from below, fish from behind, Lakey 2 from above. And the fact that your verticality can potentially hit this Lakey 2, if you can get high enough, like this is, we're going to put a question mark there, like can you get high enough? That is enough complexity and interesting things happening from this point through the rest of the freaking level. So we're going to redesign all these to just say like, we want to give the player more vines, more verticality, play with what already exists, and potentially set them up for bonking a Lakey 2. And we're going to do it in exactly 2 screens. So let's go back over this. Okay. Yeah, these random formations here. So the reason why these little bumpity bumps are not good They look neat. I mean, whatever. Like undulating ground, who cares? Like I'll take it. I'll take flat ground. But the reason why it's not good is because of what this game is. It's a platformer. So like you're running and jumping, and then you like smack your face. You run, jump, and you smack your face, and then you hit stuff, and it comes back. That could be accomplished with like a brick or a formation. But the fact that you have to do so many of these little like tiny jumps. And when you're moving at top speed, like, you could very easily be doing a standard evasion and fall into one of those, like, walls. And you want your eyes to be up... Verticality. You want your eyes to be what's happening ahead of you and what's happening above you. Because that's where the most fun of the game is, jumping up. That if you put too much to where you have to focus down below, it's a problem. Which is why the Cheep level in Bros 1... didn't put a lot of stuff in your way, so you're constantly like looking at the empty space above you, so you can only focus on the cheap below. But if you have too much stuff in the middle, the top, below, and the ground's uneven, it's just gonna get in the way of each other. So we're not gonna do that. And the fact is, you want the player to jump because of cheeps. You want them to jump because of the cool things unique things you're building, not just like, well, you know, keep jumping. You never want the player to just be like, there's a really interesting thing I want you to pay attention to here, but otherwise you're mashing jump all the time and kind of hitting little stumbling blocks. So let's just clean that up. We'll go back to the checkpoint and say new idea: flatten everything or drop it off the face of the planet. That's all we're gonna do. So flatten or drop. This one we're gonna drop. And I don't like Koopas. I think the Koopa should only be used when they're platforms. That's why we're keeping this Koopa. And there's no more Koopas. So unless you have a very specific kind of flat platform, which is what Koopas excel on, they don't really excel on 1-block platform. They don't really excel on 2-block. It's 3+. So this Koopa's cool. This Koopa's not. You can put him here. I killed him. And it's a green Koopa too, so... I don't think it's interesting to have this block here right before the jump. And I also think green Koopas start tall, high, and go low. So that could almost be a way to encourage the player to be like, look up, and you probably should start moving up because things are going to start raining down. But we already have a Lake Q2 raining down, so I would never make this a green. We have enough. What is this? A 1-up? Who cares? Free coins that look weird, who cares? We already got some coins here, so now we're back in the challenge. We don't need any freebies. Like, what is this? Power up? If you're gonna give a power up, then give it in the zone here. Why not? This doesn't even need to exist anymore. So we're re-establishing the vine work. Just for clarity's sake, we're gonna move this one away from the green thing right there, just because that's one of our rules we're looking out for. And because that happened, that's a little bit more kosher. But the fact that we're moving so much just to get this blue block, I almost want to move all this over here. I copied it. Okay, so this will be a climbing. So now we're just going to start conveying to the player they need to start getting up. Like this. Not bad. We'll fix it later. This area here has a coin in it, so I like the idea of putting in coin blocks because of the greed thing and this fish. So this fish coming out of the pipe, I think it's gonna come out too low for it to actually matter. Okay, he barely matters. That's pretty good. They jump pretty high. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so that's cool. I like that. But at the end of it, we're going to So I don't think you need this pipe to be this high to get that interesting scenario to happen. So what we're going to do, since we have so much extra room to play with here, is we're going to kill this. We're going to start establishing the fact that these gaps are going to be huge. I'm going to grab this, move this over. I don't like green on green. Do we have any other color pipes? You're playing the wrong game if you want other colored pipes. Unless... Shaky? What? What? I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Let's just move this whole formation then, because I want to get it away from that green block. And that would influence this entire setup, which we are going to shrink. It's fine. So now there's quite a large gap, which is neat. This is okay because we're shooting it out of the abyss. It's the first example of the vine in the abyss. We'll just keep running with it for now. Create a greater sense of abyss. More vines. Oh, let me get off that. And we're going to, this is, okay, so in just 2 screens I said, here's the checkpoint, here's Abyss start, and here's Abyss finish. So just right here we gotta basically make this all the Abyss. All this. And there's your... Just don't think they need to be here. I like the idea of putting something down here. Let's see. Grab this. I like this idea. Grab this, and it's cool. So, like, why would the player ever come down here, right? Why would the player ever want to be... No, this pink block makes no sense. It's just weird. Why would the player ever want to come down here with a red shell turtle, not green? Not only is red better contrast, but gameplay wise, red, please. Because we're going to shove a whole bunch of vines. Stop that. Here. And like, okay, so like a vine going up and having this secret, it's alright. It's a 1-up mushroom, so let's give it to him early rather than later. It's got to be something better than a 1-up. At this stage of the game, so we're going to take this whole formation and move it to that other vine, and we'll just see what happens. Does it stop on clouds? Hopefully. Wait, that's not even the right one. Where's my... There we go. Right here. Oh, there's already one up there, so that we're not duping that. I like the idea of getting a platform up there anyway, so it's fine. And the density of the vines increases. More. Now it's like a freaking jungle. And the reason why this is going to be interesting is now this is when you use your free flowing coins. When you're like, hey, no one really wants to come down here, and you're like, oh yeah, you can get rich. Probably should never have a coin that low anyway. But this is what Donkey Kong does all the time. Coins in between jumps. And you can get rich down here, which is the fisher should still be a chomping. These aren't good coins. We'll move that one higher. See, so even though this idea, like, I think that might be too many, maybe too many vines, but like the idea is right here, like, grab some coins, risk it all, get this, and make whatever is in here worth the risk, which is the idea we mentioned previously. You are now a Starman. Did that work? Yeah. So now you can kill everything if you're a little bit skilled. We could even do it to where you can jump off of vines to hit other vines, right? That's just another idea could have played with. Or you kick Koopa shells into... See, this is... So now here's the reason why you want to keep your Koopa shells. They're the only things you can pick up and kick in this entire level. And then you can start doing some cool stuff with suspension. So let's say if we didn't give you the shell here, and there's some blocks that were floating down here that you could only hit with an enemy, then you're like, well, where do I get my Koopa? Well, here's 1, 2, 3. So we already established here that Koopa shells can kick vines open. We'll skip this one just for a little bit of spacing. This Koopa shell, let's go ahead and just remind the player. Coins? Okay. Let's remind the player of that basic idea by moving this up. A little awkward verticality there. The difference between a 5-block high formation and a 4-block is I think it's the difference between if Small Mario gets 6 or 7 coins and if Full Mario can get... Let's just test it because I don't want to make up more junk. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the difference with this height, which is why it looks kind of strange and it's awkward, is because I don't think Nintendo ever does it that height. Because when you're Small Mario, you need a running jump to get it, I think? Yeah, so like when you're Small Mario, you can't get it, and you're like, no! But if you run jump, which is gonna be a lot easier said than done right here. 1, and you're like, and you're struggling just to get a few, so like, you'll feel the fact that you don't have a mushroom here, which is great because we gave you the mushroom right here as a freebie. Actually, yeah, these are coins. This is a mushroom. So like, let's say the level gets pretty hairy. We give you 1 power up there, no powers previously. So if you survive it, maybe you get hit here, you got your checkpoint. You get a free one here because of the checkpoint, so I don't think... Because so the original Bros 3 didn't have checkpoints, and they certainly didn't make you big when you crossed them. So even having the checkpoint right here, it would make sense to put a power up. But now that it's kind of redundant, it doesn't matter. So you could have Fire Flower pretty easily no matter how well you did previously. But then you only get that easy Fire Flower the first time you get to the checkpoint as Small Mario. And then when you respawn there, it's just a mushroom. That's fine. That's some interesting layers there. You go back around here. You get your mushroom still. What is in this? Get out of my way, Mario. Okay, coins is the coin. So you may be Small Mario because of Lakitu's pressure. By the time you get over here, it makes you feel good for keeping your big Mario. And then there's your Starman here. So not too many power-ups. I was thinking about putting a block here that you can only hit a Koopa shell into, and then it would grow the vine up so that even if you're Small Mario, you can attempt to hit it with the vine, which would be cool because the longer you hang out here, the more this Lakitu becomes a threat. And the other cool part is if you're Small Mario here, you know, you can get it. You can get on top. Ooh, don't fall asleep. Don't do that. I don't know if you could do anything. Oh, you can take this for a ride. So if you can take this for a ride, then... That's the dangerous part about putting Lakito in any of your freaking Mario Maker levels. You just leave. So... You might want to make that a little harder to earn. It doesn't really matter. I think if you make your level interesting, you don't need to worry about one possible interesting way of undermining the others. Undermining. They're not mimes. But I kind of want to do the single brick thing here. We'll just do it and then we'll see what it's like. Single brick. Copy. I said copy. There. You have to take it from there. And the longer you take to take it from here, the more dangerous it is. The longer you stay here, the more dangerous it is. And then you get these huge gaps. Alright. Time to play the whole level. Yeah, I need to keep the chat open. I keep not paying attention. Yeah, avoiding cheap cheeps is not more interesting when the ground is not flat. So like, take a hint. When you're trying to create an obstacle and you got to figure out where your player's eyes are going to be, and they're coordinating where their player's going to be while also moving, like horizontally or shooting fire flowers, you don't want the tiny bumps in the ground to get in their way. There's almost no level in all of Mario that has tiny undulations like that. New Super Mario Brothers, all their hills are curved, and other stages are flat. It's because it's a platformer. It's about jumping up and around and not, you know, stubbing your toe at every 5 seconds. I get the fish is established pretty quick. Got your first mushroom. You might explore these. Nice Medusa head. No lose. Explore this. Jump the gap. Those greens actually look like bushes. It's pretty cool. No way to mess that up. And now the longer you wait here, you see that the red actually comes back to get you, and I got lucky right there. I need to make those single coin blocks. How do I do that? And there you go for your trouble. You jump back down because it's safe at this point, which is nice to have something safe. I keep thinking of a wall jump. So here's that dangerous area, and it's just as dangerous as we thought it was, even with just one cheap cheap. You can climb up, get away from them, come back down. Go for this first so I don't get the fire flower because I'm bad. So now we have 3 cheeps on the screen, and another one. See, what a jerk. He kind of threw that a little bit off screen, but I guess that's what he does. It's cool when you're this high, you're a little bit away from the cheap cheap, but not enough away. So that's cool, kind of establishing what height you need to be to stay safe. But then you still have the threats from above, which I kind of like a lot. And then you're like, why would I ever go down there? It's a feeling now. And you got these cool vertical Mega Man-esque platforming. There we go, and then you start killing everything. Oop, including myself. So it looks like that this whole section is communicated very well because the players are more likely to hang on vines and use verticality to stay safe because there's so many green jerks. I think there needs to be more red jerks here. We'll change a few because the contrast, there's too much green. And they'll stick around a little better. And then you're like, are you feeling brave? You're like, maybe. Oh, and then you have those fish that can save you. That's really neat. Oh, that's cool. And then we do that. Okay. And then a lot of grace, and then you go right back down to the easy area. And if you kept all the fish with you, it's a clean finish. Okay, so that communicates a lot of the same ideas pretty well, I think, throughout the whole thing. Yeah, you can still push the idea further. You can even take this same idea, put it into the new Super Mario Brothers engine, play a little bit more with wall jumps and pipes and everything. But this is essentially how the development of ideas go with more Mario style. The whole final 3 panels were one basic idea: put pits in and vines so Mario can like look down and see how high he's gotten. Now you achieve that, or we achieve that effect without even lifting the floor of the level higher so that the player actually is climbing up. Like, you don't even need to do that because you're just using the natural frame of the viewport to create the sense of verticality instead of like, we're actually going to go up to create it. Like, show a little bit more finesse. And that's the entire level, I think. Yeah, this green on green, let's change that again. And we're going to change a few of those red cheap. Okay. But yeah, now Zera, you could probably see why it took me like 15 hours to do the other Mario Maker, Mario Fixer videos. Because even this is taking, I don't even know how long. How long has it been? Too long to fix this stuff. But it's fun. I don't know, dog. So if the greens are always coming out of pipes, and we're never going to change that because it'll get way too overwhelming otherwise, then these fish can be red. And now you can, I mean, when you start designing your level in layers like this, you start to really feel the replayability. And I'm like, now I'm going to see how many cheap I can keep on the screen. And then get to that last part. Oh my gosh. This fish. Okay. So then keep this one on screen. I don't need to mess with this now because it'll probably kill my cheap, but I'll keep it for security. Red's going to turn my way in the next jump. Okay, that's fine. Can't keep them all. Green coming in from the back. Take my time. Catch a few of those. Slide under, okay. Slide under, okay. Don't need that. Now we got a ton of cheaps. Intentionally get hit. Oh, I killed one on accident. Okay, killed that one on accident. And I killed myself. Wow. Let's pretend I have a lot of cheap following me. I'm playing with the analog stick. Maybe that's a mistake. So here are the 2 reds we introduced, and look how much crazier this section gets with 2 reds. Oh, man. Just... Oh. Then you eventually have to get back down. That was so close. That's neat. That's a lot of fun. And I'd even do the vertical sort of exploration on that one. I wish I could get these vines below the stage. And that's still there. Greed. 1-ups. Lakey 2 did his job. I guess to reward the Lakey... So, like... Okay, so our tallest vine in this area is this one. So when you're on it, you get to see this high up. So I think if you wanted to encourage Lakey 2 stuff, it's as simple as doing this. And you're like, I can't get those. And you're like, you sure can't. Ah! So then you might even encourage you to go backwards, like, how do I get up there? There's my ride. And you're not disoriented Because I don't think, yeah, you can't go too high that you don't see the vines, which is a really good touch. Is what I was telling you about before. You can jump off at any time and know that you're safe. Super clean. Oh, I thought there was ground right there. But then, because the fish were there, I just wasn't worried. That's pretty cool. Let's design. Alright. Spent too much time on that one, but that was fun. I'm going to save it and name it. New save. What was that? Was gone fishing? What was it gone? Gone fishing. Gone fixing. Yeah, I guess I'll upload it so people can play it, but I'll put that in the description because I'm tired. And that was all. So I didn't redo the level maps, but that's the wrong scene. How embarrassing. This one. So I didn't redo any of the level maps, but all the notes are still there. And I guess you guys can't even see the difference between pink and red. That was a terrible decision on my part. Heh, too bad. But that's all we're going to do today, so thanks for joining us. We do this kind of thing every day. We have a Discord. It's all free. Join us on Twitter. Follow us. No Facebook. And we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Super Mario Fixer. Later, guys.